Hi, ladies. This is Debrah Mowlem, founder of Global Business Women Organization. I hope we are all doing well and you're picking yourselves up after all this that happened. Today, I'm joined by this amazing lady who has worked in so many countries, so she's bringing us a lot of experience that we can learn from and a lot of advice. I'm talking to Gill Walker today. She's a CRM success catalyst who works with OPSIS. And although she was born in England, grew up in England, she now lives in Sydney, Australia. So there's quite a time change. Hi, Gill.
Hello, Deb. How are you doing? And yes, there is a time change. It is 8:15 in the evening, nearly my bedtime. So we'll have to be quick or I'll fall asleep.
And it's morning for me. So yeah, you're used to both times because having lived on different continents. Anyways, it's so good to talk to you today. And I'm going to ask you some really questions that might come across as stupid. First of all, what's CRM?
Let's work through this gradually. It stands for one of four things, depending on who you are. So it can be customer relationship management. It can be client relationship management. Or the other one is when the R is record. So we've got customer record management and client record management. Okay. But what it really is a philosophy or way of working so that people in an organization have the information that they need to look after the clients or the customers of the business effectively. And when implemented successfully, and that's what I'm all about, it also means that customers and prospects and clients, and I tend to use those words interchangeably, which is a bit naughty, don't suffer from the, oh, you'll have to phone back on Monday when Mary's in. I can't help you with that syndrome, which none of us like.
So you help us be a bit more successful in our businesses. And
yes. And even small businesses can benefit from a CRM solution. And
so the word I was looking for is efficient. You help us be a bit more efficient in dealing with our customers. That's what I lost.
And that is certainly true, because looking after, it is not possible for any normal person to remember everything that they're told when they're told it, and then recall it 2 weeks, a month, 3 months later, when you go back and you have a follow-on customer. And that's certainly true. So by making notes after a call, you are then able to use the information effectively. So it might be little things like you're talking to somebody and how was your son's birthday party? Now, typically for somebody you don't remember, for someone you don't know, you wouldn't remember that. But if you make a note when you're you're talking to someone and they say, oh, I actually can't manage that date because it's my son's birthday party. You note that down, and then the next time you speak to them, as long as it's not way out into the future, you're able to ask a question about your son or the birthday or the party or possible presents. And it really makes people feel valued, that you bothered to care not only about them, but in this instance about their son. But it could be a child, a pet, a neighbor, anything. It's that feeling of I matter to you. And we've probably all heard of the idea of know, like, trust. People will only buy from you once they've worked their way through that they feel they know you, they feel they like you, and they feel that they trust you to do what you're saying. And little things like your son's birthday party all help to build that up. And if you're talking to 100 people across a week, you cannot, unless you're superhuman, hold all of that detail yourself.
So it's a way of putting the personal touch in our business relationships. Because
absolutely.
I tell you, I feel so good when, like, I shop with Marks and Spencer. When they send me a Christmas card that says Debrah, and I think, oh my God, they remembered me. And I feel like it's Mr. Marks and Spencer who has remembered this Christmas and said, okay, Debrah, Merry Christmas to you.
Yes.
That's the kind of thing you're explaining, isn't it?
That's one aspect of it, yes. But it makes people feel important. And let's face it, we all want to feel important. We all want to feel that we matter to people on the other side of the relationship.
So that is not about business, it's about getting to know you,
this is part of the whole know, like, trust, because it is business. People buy from other people.
Yes.
And whether you're a solopreneur, a small micro business with 1 or 2 or 3 people like I am, or whether you're part of a multinational whatever, it's still the people.
Yes, you're right.
And to put a flip side on it, some of your listeners, Deb, might have heard of the 7-second rule. Now,
please explain it to those who haven't.
Sure. When you first meet somebody, you form an impression of them in that first 7 seconds. Okay. And in that 7 seconds, you've probably not opened your mouth. You certainly don't have time to demonstrate your knowledge, your skills, your wisdom, whatever it might be. So really, in that 7 seconds, what you are relying on is some very basics. You've got your general demeanor, how are you dressed, and personal hygiene. 7 seconds is well long enough to realize that somebody has got monstrously bad breath. Yes. Or that they got dressed by rolling across the bedroom floor into what was lying there from the day before. But it's not long enough for us to demonstrate what we know about what we know. However, in that 7 seconds, you set the bar. Now, if you set the bar there, during subsequent conversations that are whatever they are, the bar may come down. Okay. I can virtually guarantee that the bar won't go up. So you've set the bar there. So if you have got monstrously bad breath and you got dressed by rolling across the bedroom floor and so on, the bar's going to be here. Your skill level will not do that. It might still do this, in which case you're cooked.
Yes.
But if the BO or whatever has put your level, well, there, so it's, oh, of course, the people won't see this, will they, Deb? Never mind. No, but if the bar's sort of really low, that's as high as it's going to go. Yeah. In most instances, for sure, there's exceptions. And there are people who can do everything wrong in the first minute or so. And then they get the opportunity to deliver some really good work and succeed in doing that. And the bar goes up. But that's the exception, not the norm. So people who argue, I don't need to dress properly, I don't need to do this, I don't need to do that, they're setting the bar lower than it needs to be. And why do that to yourself?
Yes, you're right. Because we, especially women, I find we judge by, we look at a person and just know. I don't like her. Why? Well, I just don't, she doesn't feel right.
I think you're right. I think, our gut tells us, and that can be the 7-second rule. So if you meet someone and you're just recoiling back, you are unlikely to do business with that person. You might, there's always the exception.
Yes.
But if we were to say, if we had somebody that upset 10 people, they'd probably be lucky to get business from 2. Whereas if that same person made a good impression on 10 people, they'd likely get business from 6 or 7.
Yeah, you're right. So have you always been in this field, or did you?
Oh, no. Yeah. I got here by a very tortuous route. So my first degree is in experimental pathology. Okay. And my first job was leukemia research.
Okay.
And then I went from there into teaching, and from teaching into technology training with a bit of consulting. Through the 90s, I trained on pretty much every desktop application that you could train on.
Wow.
And then I worked for Microsoft for just over a year. And that's where I did the 2 shock weeks that I mentioned earlier.
Yes.
And then after that, I was headhunted to Malaysia and then headhunted to Australia. And so if we go through that in detail, that gives us the 17 countries that I've worked in, or most of them.
17 countries, that's a lot of travel. What an exciting life you've led. If you can give maybe 3 or 4 points on this CRM, how a person starting can use.
Sorry?
If you can give maybe 3 or 4 points of advice on a person starting in business can use this CRM to boost their business.
For somebody starting in business, particularly if they're starting alone as a solopreneur, my advice would be maybe to use Excel, maybe just to write things down, but to write them down in a way that when you speak or communicate subsequently with somebody, you can readily get to the information of the earlier communications, so that prior to initiating a communication, you know what you've said previously, and therefore you can pick things up. So that's what I was saying, making a comment about how did your son's birthday party go?
The previous conversation.
Yeah. One project that I did many years ago now, the client asked us to customize CRM there was lots of customization, but one particular way was preferred drink. And that just means that this client was a financial planner. And so people would come in maybe quarterly, probably every 6 months or 12 months. But it means that somebody in the front office can say, "Hi, Deb, great to see you again. Would you like white coffee again?"
They remember my drink.
No, you don't. You looked it up in the system, but the chances are the client doesn't realize you've recorded it.
Yes.
And if you'd said, "Actually, no, I've given up milk. Could I have black coffee or an espresso?" The system gets updated. So when you go in the next time, whatever that is, you're not going to get offered white coffee. You're going to get offered black coffee or espresso or whatever.
That's amazing. So,
and it's so little.
But it makes a customer feel really important, because I won't feel like they looked up my notes. I'll feel like they remembered me.
Absolutely, of course you do.
They personally remember me, and that makes me feel important.
I matter. And there's a lovely graphic somewhere, and I'm not going to try finding it now, but I might to use with this recording. But it's basically a person with a sign round their neck, and the sign says, "Show me that I matter."
Wow. Because it's when you turn up and they say, "Oh, what's your name again?" And you think, I made the appointment. What are you doing? If you don't feel like they remember you, you don't feel important enough. Like, really, I told you my name when I booked.
You think when you book, that might have been several days ago.
Yeah.
Look at the situation that and I'm sure we've all had it with the bank, with telephone companies, with utility companies, other big businesses, where you phone up and, "Hi, it's Gill Walker here. I'm phoning about my current account and whatever. This is the account number, and I've got this question." "I'm sorry, Gill, good to talk to you. I can't actually help you with that. I need to transfer you to David. David looks after the current accounts." So David comes on the call. "Hello, Gill, can you tell me what your problem is, please?"
Yeah.
And I've just told person one.
Yeah.
But none of the information. Now, there are, of course, there are fuzzy areas, and there are, things like the security questions. You can understand people needing to repeat because they've got their own liability, that they need to be sure that they're talking to the account holder or the bill payer or whoever. But if you've gone through to the trouble of saying, "This is my problem and this has happened and I've done this, and can you help me with that?" and you get through to David in this situation, and David says, "You were talking to Mary, but can you tell me what your problem is, please?" Why did I bother telling Mary?
And by then you've been on the phone on hold for 20 minutes anyway.
Oh, that as well. Yes.
You're already getting irritated by it. And so, yeah. So the most important thing is keep Excel.
It's keeping records in whatever way works for you. Oh. Excel will work for 1 and 2 person businesses. Okay. Once you get bigger than that, you need to find a way, and now we probably are looking at some of the low-end CRM technologies, because you then need to get to the point where all of the team are keeping appropriate records, and not only keeping them, but also reading them. There is no point having all this information about your son's birthday party, about you not drinking milk anymore, you switched to black coffee, about this, about that, about the other, if nobody reads it. So it's got to become part of the culture that, yes, Deb's coming in at 9 o'clock. Okay, quick, let's go into Deb's record. Gave up milk, now drinks espresso. Son's birthday was 2 months ago. Okay, got all that. And then you walk through the door, and now I can say, "Deb, do you want another espresso, or is it too late in the day," or whatever?
I've seen like in big companies, when the big boss and the secretary is whispering in his ear, "That's so and so and his wife." And, "Oh, hello, Mr. So and so," because she's got the information and she's passing it on, and he's well up to date with it. So do you work as a consultant with this, or do you coach companies?
Both. So I'm a consultant. I'm a Dynamics 365 solution architect, and I've got other certifications. And I train, I problem solve, I consult, I project manage, mainly in the Microsoft Dynamics 365 space, but occasionally in what I call general CRM. I also speak to networking groups and conferences about CRM and about Microsoft Dynamics 365.
Ladies, this is very, very important, because this will help you in your businesses. This will help you even just in your lives, because people want to be made to feel important, even with friends. If you don't ask your friend, by the way, how's your headache? They'll feel like, oh, so you were not even listening when I talked to you about my headache.
Mm.
And they'll feel like you don't care. So this is very important. And if you want Gill's help, I'll put all her contacts with this podcast so that you can contact her, you can visit her website, and you can consult with her, you can coach with her, you can get the help you need that will help you grow your business, that will help you grow as a person. So any last words for us, Gill?
I'm just about to put all my contact details in the chat so that you've got them.
Thank you so much.
If that's not it, is it?
I was going to ask you.
And I think, no, my final comments are just CRM does not need to be bigger than Ben-Hur. CRM is about caring for people and really treating people how you would want to be treated.
I am writing down. What you can do with the contacts, you can send me an email of them. Oh, you've already done that. That's great.
It's all in the chat now.
Yes.
So you've got all of that. Use whatever makes sense for your members, guests, listeners, whatever they are, Deb.
Yes, because I put all the contact details so that whoever will listen to this podcast and feel they need your help, they can contact you straight out.
They can. I work globally, and as we've proven, I can talk to people. More than happy to help anybody who would like a chat, and certainly very happy to connect with you on LinkedIn.
Yes, I will connect with you, because this is a part of business that we overlook, and then we wonder why we are not selling. We wonder why things are not working, because we overlook this very
absolutely we do
touch, you know, and you think, oh, why don't people like me? Well, people like you, but they're not really.
If people don't know you, they can't like you. This is back to the know, like, trust. It's got to happen in that order.
So yeah, it's one of those important things that we need to do as people, and even just in our lives. So I thank you so much for coming and talking to me about this. And ladies, this has been very eye-opening, because this is a step that we overlook. And I think this is very, very important. And we should listen to this podcast and contact Gill and work with Gill. Thank you so much, Gill, for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Deb. And I look forward to getting the recording, and let's see what we can do with it.
Thank you. Ladies, I've been Debrah Mowlem. Till next time.